Hi, it's Tropical Plants at 53 degrees north. It's September. We're just going to have a little gentle stroll around the greenhouse, a little wander amongst the tropical plants and the house plants and see what's happening in the greenhouse. Let's jump in. And we are in. Okay, so this is going to be a general kind of off the cuff thing, as I do every month at some point, just to see what's going on what's happening. And some people seem to really enjoy these. Obviously they don't get found in search very often, but people seem to like a general look around at all the different things that's going on in here. So we're going to start with this amazing Tradescantia Zebrina. You can see how massive it's got now. It's definitely been worth the effort to get these things to kind of root as they go. And I have to say, since I did that original video where I rooted it along the length of this grow bag, I haven't pegged in any other stems since because it's just too big and I've just not had time to do it. But you can see just the amount that I did right at the beginning, it seems to have been enough to send it into this huge spurt of growth, and it really does look phenomenal. And at some point, no doubt, some of these earlier parts of the stems, some of the older parts of the stems will start to die off, because I mean this is what happens with these things eventually. But I'm hoping the fact that I've pegged it all along will stop that from happening as soon as it would do otherwise. Over here, if I just move you over to the left hand side, we have lots of streps in bloom, and hopefully some that you've not seen before. I've got over here some quite new varieties. I'm not going to have chance to go through what they're all called because I've got something in my other hand, and obviously I'm holding the camera. There we go, I'll just put it down. Well, it's actually between my legs, so I can't move very well. So this is a new one here. This one is it Falling Stars? Yes, you've probably seen that one before. That one is Harlequin Purple. Beautiful yellow one over here, that's Motil. I don't think that was actually in bloom last time I showed these streps. I think that one is DS something or other. DS Caramel. That's a beautiful one. This is definitely a new one as I try and do a strange walk forwards. So this is Denim, as you can see by that rather oversized label from Dibley's. I really must put another label in there. Now it does have a look of, just move over, of Bethan. So when Bethan first comes out, it looks quite dark and it goes like paler as time goes on. But this Denim over here is a little bit darker, isn't it? That one is not quite open yet. That's DS Aramis. You've seen the chocolate one over here, hot chocolate. I think you've seen the DS 1126. What else have we got? You've not seen this white one. This is a new one. I don't know the name of this one. You see, I keep getting these little tiny Tradescantia plants popping up. So if anybody says, can you grow Tradescantia from seed? Yes, I've got loads of them. They're dotted about all over the place. So that's Bianca popping up there. And we've got a new one up here. This one is Roulette Cherry. Oh, that's a rather nice one. I really like that. I think you've seen all the others. Everybody likes a look at this one. This is Kalahari. It's looking absolutely fabulous at the moment. Keeps dropping a few blooms, but even the dropped ones look rather nice. This one is coming out more. This is the one that's won all the awards. What's that one called? Harlequin Blue. Streps are looking absolutely fabulous, as you'd expect at this time of year. A few more over here. I think you've seen all these different varieties before, so I won't go through all those, what they're all called. Even the ones down below in the shade. And don't let anybody tell you that Streptocarpus prefer shade, because every single year the ones that I have under the benches are the last to come out. The ones that are in the most light, and I'll just move you over up here, the ones that are in the most light come out first and bloom the most. That one is always a popular one. That one, Polka Dot Purple. We've got Katie at the back there, looking absolutely fantastic. So yeah, definitely strep season, and they have benefited from me using the capillary matting. Not everything has benefited from the capillary matting, as we'll come to in a little while. So the streps are definitely winners when it comes to capillary matting. Losers over here, hardly dare show you these, but losers are these streps here. So I've had these are the cuttings from the tricolor minima. the ones that I tried to kind of separate out into different amounts of irrigation, and you can see what's happened here. Now, whether this is just humidity or whether it's the fact that they're wet all the time. I mean, I didn't intend doing it like this because I know that the majority of Tradescantia don't really like to be wet all the time. They want to dry out between watering because they are related to succulents after all. That can't be said of all Coelogyne, as I said in a recent video. There are some Coelogyne that do prefer to be moist all the time, but not these. And I actually only intended to use the capillary matting while I was away, but I've come back from holiday a couple of weeks ago and I've just not had a chance to do anything. I mean, literally, they just need taking up, don't they? Or just taking off the connecting piece so that it dries out. So I will do something with those, I promise. Don't get on my case about them. I will sort them out at some point. It's just a case of too much to do at the moment, especially coming back from holiday. So yeah, winners and losers. Winners, as you'd expect, Streptocarpus do like to have, well, they don't like to be wet, but they're quite happy for the bottom of them to be moist. Now, when I thrust my fingers into the top sections of the top portion of the media, they are quite dry at the top. So this might be, you know, the reason why they're not really struggling too much by being wet, because when they are wet, I suppose it depends on the temperatures as well. The temperatures are high, and obviously we're coming towards the end of summer now, but we've still got fairly high temperatures. So for some reason they're okay, they're happy, they're enjoying it, but change the conditions ever so slightly and you will get rot. So, you know, lower the temperatures. If the temperatures start to drop below 15, get down to 12, then those roots for the Streptocarpus will actually begin to rot. So it's a fine line, isn't it? And it very much depends on your own environment, you know, what your ventilation is like, how much sun they're getting in a day, whether they get a chance to dry out, whether the temperature drops at night, how far it drops. All those things play a part, so it's difficult to give a rule of thumb. So other winners with the capillary matting, ferns, of course. You would expect ferns. So let's have a look at some of the ferns. So this is my favourite one. This is Terrace cretica. This one's gone absolutely crazy since I attached some capillary matting to it. Loves to be moist, loves to throw out these beautiful bronze fronds. I really do love this one. Pity I can't find a better place for it, really, because a lot of it's kind of hidden underneath. These ones, no real name for them, just come in orchid pots, and I repotted them separately. But I do like the kind of greenery effect that it gives there. My Phlebodiums are doing really well, even though I'm not using the capillary matting with them. Again, temperatures, they just love the temperatures. Very, very humid at this time of year. They love the humidity as well. This is my favourite one up here, but this one has thrown loads and loads of new fronds out there, and I may well at some point try and cut some of the older ones off. So that one's Davana, Phlebodium aureum Davana. What I actually started doing with this one is just popping like couple of centimeters of water into the tray and letting it soak it up, because my unifoliate strep over here, Gunnii it is, isn't it? Gunnii, the one that only flowers once and then dies, does give you loads of seeds though, apparently. That one also likes to be quite moist, so that's what I've been doing with that, and it has actually helped. Did the same thing with my ailing bougainvillea over here. It is in bloom just about. I think I've solved this. I've said this before. I know. I keep saying I've solved it, and then it keeps kind of having a real downer on me. I'm dropping a load of leaves and so on. I think it's the light, you know. I'll tell you my reasoning behind that. The bougainvillea are known as being, and I've obviously only just found this out, but they're known as being a particularly high light plant, as are vandas. Now, why am I bringing vandas into this? Well, I've had a vanda for 3 years and I've never had a bloom on it. I've now had this bougainvillea for 2 years. Yes, I've got blooms, but by goodness, it does struggle. And the only time that it really starts to chuck loads of leaves out, like it is doing at the moment, is when it's at the beginning of its growth season and now towards the end, even though the light is fading towards the end of the season. Mid-season, it really struggles. Could it be that it's just not getting the light it needs when it's at its most vulnerable? Most vulnerable as in it's giving out most of its energy by producing the bracts and the blooms. I have tested with a light meter. I can't actually remember the figures, but with the light meter, the information that I read give me the looks that it needed. And even though I've got grow lights in here that are a good distance away, they're not meant to be so far away. I kind of use them like fluorescent lights overhead. And when I held the meter up here, it was way lower than it should be. Now it's a sunny day today, so it's pretty bright in here, but for the most part it's cloudy, and for the most part the actual looks that it's getting here is way below what it should be. And it's the same with the Vandervander's a highlight plant as well, and maybe that's why it's not bloomed. Again, as with all these things, I'm only using the information that I've got and trying to come up with a logical solution to it. That might not be the solution. I can only keep trying. I will be into my 3rd year with that. Let's see next year what happens. If I do manage to get hold of another light, I might have to direct it closer to the bougainvillea. I know people have said it to me in the past, you know, get it on the sunniest part of the greenhouse. It's a bit late for that now, but you know, maybe that's something I can try at some point in the future. The Pelargonium season is coming to an end. There is one solitary bloom on there, and you can see quite a few yellowing leaves. As I say, it's very, very humid here at the moment, and I'm continually plucking off those yellow leaves because botrytis very, very quickly takes a hold with these things. I do expect that they will continue. They'll have a little bit of a rest, and then they'll come back again during winter time because I don't let them go below 12. Some of these species are still going, although I'm not that much of a fan of these long kind of unruly stems that they send off. I think, let me see, I've got another one somewhere. That one is another one that's kind of gone over for now. This one's come back into bloom. That's another of the Pelargoniums. I've got another one up here. Sorry for all the terrible camera work. There's another one up there that's doing all right at the moment. And just over on this side, if you can stand not to get too seasick as I move the camera around, I've moved this one over here. Again, they're very, very pretty, but they are a little bit unruly and a little bit untidy and messy. But I expect the Pelargoniums to come back again. We will have times throughout the year when it's not quite as humid, and that gives them a chance to return. You know, this greenhouse is full of all sorts of different plants that need different conditions, and I am not really providing the particular conditions for any particular family of plants. I'm trying to kind of have a foot in all camps, and inevitably that means that some things don't really thrive. My Masdevallia ignea is going to bloom, would you believe it? Now we're talking September now, and at the moment it's 1, 2, 3, 4 spikes that I can see. No doubt there's a few more behind there. It didn't actually bloom this year, so the first year it's not bloomed. It normally blooms like January, February time, but it had a rest this year. I had repotted it over the autumn last year, so that's probably why. But I don't care, I'm not bothered. You know, these tropical plants don't really have seasons as such, so they can bloom whenever. They're not really that fussy when it comes to that. They'll bloom when they're ready to bloom. That's what makes it so appealing as a hobby, really, because I don't have to wait all the way through winter for anything to happen. In fact, many of my orchids actually bloom through winter. I've got an Oncidium sotoanum back here, which is, it's not looking that great, I have to say. It's a bit yellowy. I think it can be a bit yellowy, but it's got several spikes on it. Totally different time to when it bloomed last, different time of the year, but you know, I'm happy to see that. I don't mind that at all. I've got an Oncidium twinkle back here, which actually I only repotted it about 3 days ago. See that spike there? And would you believe, now this is how absent-minded I am, I managed to repot the entire thing and I never noticed the spike until I put it back up on the shelf. Unbelievable. How I missed it, I don't know. I think I was that focused on the roots because it didn't have any. So really, I know I should really cut off that spike, but I can't. I want to see it. It's an Oncidium twinkle yellow. I might let it bloom a little bit and then cut it off. So you can feel happy about that. You don't need to tell me in the comments. I will do the right thing. Tradescantia nanouk looking better at the moment. It seems to be preferring the conditions that it's got now. Still a few little brown spots. The leaves do come off rather easily. I mean, they're almost like sheaths, these leaves. There is a special name for them, but you can pull the whole thing off and you don't really notice it. So that's a little trick for the nanouk. This is nanouk lilac, and the leaves are getting much bigger, so the PGRs do seem to be wearing off, and I expect that would probably do even better in a bigger pot, even though I've only recently repotted it. I'm going to take you down to the bowels of the greenhouse. Not a pretty thought. So down here, what have we got? A load of pots with dead stuff in them. Well, these are the cyclamen, so it's about time for me anyway, I think, to start to bring these back to life. Some of them did produce 1 or 2 leaves. One of them even bloomed. I don't know if you can just kind of see it back there. There you go, just see it back there. But I've not watered them one little bit since I put them here when they stop blooming in springtime, end of springtime. So I'm going to bring those out and I'm going to start to water them and get them back to life. I might have lost a couple of them, but just looking at them now, where I'm actually about a foot away from them, and many of them have got little leaves on them, so they will come back, I have no doubt about that. And even if I do lose a couple, it doesn't really matter, you know, they're so cheap, I can easily get some more. The Nepenthes, let's have a look at Nepenthes. So they have done absolutely wonderfully this year. Last year was the first year that I actually sprayed them throughout the season, throughout the winter, with orchid feed, and I think that really got them going. I have to cut that black leaf off there. It got them going, it gave them a really good start over the winter months, and they have produced tons and tons of pictures for me. Remember, this one that I'm looking at now had no pictures on at the beginning of the year because I left it to dry out by accident, and all the pictures dried up. So that one is Berkii. Over to the other one. This one is, how can I forget these? Gaia. Okay, so Gaia again, tons of pictures on it, loads of pictures, keeps producing them. Beautiful plants. And the ones over in the intermediate side, if we just quickly whiz through over here, well, you can see how many pictures they've got on. So this one's Rebecca Soper. I have actually recently just cut off the vine on both of them because they were both going for it, producing great big long vine, and I don't want that. I just want the pictures. I want them to stay relatively compact. So they're both the same and they're looking absolutely brilliant. The smaller ones, again, they also have continued to produce loads of pictures. Now this one is Cross Ventricosa. That's got a brand new one there. Little tiny one there, and Rob Cantley crossed with Aristolochioides. That one doesn't really do much. Hookeriana. I have this on their capillary matting as well, and they seem to be quite happy with that. Loads on that one. That's the blood red one, Bloody Mary one. Let's quickly whiz through. Oh, we've got lots of new growth on the Tolumnias. I'm quite pleased about that. They took a while to get going, but there's loads of new growth on them now. So I'm expecting something to happen with them over the winter months. I'm hoping they produce some spikes for me. My Staghorn fern, if you remember, these plates along the bottom. Now mine lost all of its original ones. Well, when I say lost, I cut them off. I didn't actually realise that that's what happens. These things die eventually and they are to be left. So I've read they're not to be cut off. I cut them off. But it probably grew some more. So it's looking very Staghorny now, don't you think? I think it does. Looks very Staghorny. Didn't cost a lot, this. I was quite pleased. I think it's from that Bakker.com. I think it's a Dutch company. They managed to get over all the Brexit paperwork and they sent it to me. It did take a couple of months, but I was quite happy that they did. So some more Nepenthes over here. This is the one, the Loei cross. That one's produced a few new ones. I think, and this is Fusca, again, few new ones. I think this time of year, late September, mid to late September, is ideal for Nepenthes, because they're getting about the same amount of light that they would get in the wild, and the temperatures aren't too extreme. So when the sun comes through the roof, on the rare occasion that it's actually sunny, by the way, you see some more little Tradescantia seedlings popping up there. Now they've literally taken, I mean, that's been hanging there about 2 months, so it took them 2 months to pop up, because I've only had that capillary matting there for that long. Back to what I was talking about. Yeah, so it's actually perfect conditions for them, and you can tell because they're producing pictures all over the place. So I'm really pleased with them. And before anybody asks, no, I've not sprayed them. I have the doors open like I've got them open here when the weather allows it. Whatever flies in, you know, gets munched up by the Nepenthes. So Nepenthes looking really good. Dendrobium, thyrsiflorum and densiflorum. Now last time I showed these there was nothing happening on them, but what have we got? We've got a new growth there, loads of roots there, so I'm quite happy with them. In my particular situation, the temperatures solve a lot. Not straight away, when I've had decent temperatures for a few months. Again, new growth on this one, new roots as well. What was that one? Thyrsiflorum. But the temperatures can be a big problem. When I have the cooler winter temperatures, it's the fact that it goes on and on and on for months and months at a time. The only Dendrobium that's not had any growth is the Victoria Regina, which is a shame because that's probably my favourite out of them all. Nothing, absolutely, oh hang on. Yeah, no, I think there's some little roots there, isn't there? But I mean, it's not a great deal to write home about, is it? But at least it's not dead. Yeah, my biggest problem is obviously coming up to winter, and then it'll be down to 12 in here. I have to say the cost of utilities, costs of gas and electric over in the UK has just suddenly skyrocketed by about 40%, and my bill has therefore also skyrocketed by about 35% at the moment. So I'm going to have to find some ways of really reducing my costs. Now, I've already said that the warm side will now turn into the intermediate side. So this is going to go down to 15. I might lose a few things, especially things like the Phalaenopsis over there. They really don't want to be below 18. They're not expensive. I came up with 15 because I think the begonias will survive at that temperature and they won't drop all the leaves, so I'm hoping. The plumeria will, they do anyway just because of the light, but everything else I'm hoping will survive, but just depending on what the weather is like and how good I manage to get it really insulated. We'll just have to see what happens. It's just one of those things. Now my Dracula chimaera, I don't know if you can see it there, it's still got loads of buds on it. I mean, they come out in bloom, but every time I do one of these videos, it's not actually in full, you know, they're not opened up, but you can see how many spikes it's got. The thing to do with the Dracula is to keep it out of the sun, obviously. Keep it as wet as you can. I mean, I have to say, it only gets watered when the others get watered, but I think because of where it is, it's kind of protected from the extremes. I've got it behind this side wall here. But these spikes can bloom successionally, so don't cut them off, and that's what I do. Unless, of course, you can see one there that's completely brown. That's never going to bloom again. So that's the Dracula chimaera, worth mentioning. And a big surprise for me, we've just come through to the intermediate side, this Coelogyne cristata. Now, I've done a few videos on this. I think my last one was what's going wrong with it. And they were all wrinkled. Now look at them now, they're not anymore, they're all swollen up. Well, I'll tell you what happened. I went on holiday, so I put it in a tray like this, and I filled it with that much water, and I left it for 5 days. When I come back, ta-da! So that's the problem with that, simply not getting enough water. I tried that once before. Somebody actually suggested that, and I tried it for about 2 days, and nothing appeared to have happened at all. Nothing. They were exactly the same, still all wrinkled up, and I kind of got cold feet and thought, no, if I leave it there, it's going to rot, because I'm not used to rot in the greenhouse. And just by accident, it's worked out for me by going on holiday. So for once, I've actually gone on holiday, come back, not to something dead, but to something actually revitalised. So now when I water, that's what I do with this. I don't just pour through the top, which tells me that really, even though I've got it in a basket because it likes spreading, I need it in something that stays moist. I mean, it is mostly moss, but I've got quite a lot of bark in there as well. So again, I don't know. I'm thinking I want something that's going to retain some moisture, but then when it gets to winter and it gets down to 12, that's not always the best thing. And I'm certainly not going to give it 2 different media, one for, you know, like a summer media and a winter media. Absolutely no way. Tradescantia, this is my red jewel that nobody else seems to have. Now I guess this is just, I think it might be that burgundy one. Is it Zebrina burgundy? But yeah, it's red jewel. That's how it was sold to me, as red jewel, and I've never seen it since. We've still got the beautiful Epicattleya doing its thing over here. This is really going for it now. So this one is Tradescantia Zebrina. Now I think, if memory serves, that this one has been treated with PGRs, and it will revert to the species, which I can't remember what its name is. We've got some begonias looking really nice. We've got the dark one, the Masdevallia F nigricans. We've got the, I can't remember, green gecko, of course, yes. Now, I was told off for whizzing over the begonias last time. I know I've just done a big begonia video, haven't I? I don't think there's a great deal changed since then. So this silver lace, really enjoying life at the moment, looking particularly attractive. The Connie Boswell, it's got a bit leggy, but I really like it. It's a lovely plant. Griffon, of course, sorry, don't whiz over it. Beautiful Griffon. The whitey eye that everybody's, the maculata whitey eye, everybody's familiar with, full of blooms at the moment. I am going to chop that one back because I don't want it to go too high, and I have seen them like as a bushy plant. Listada popped up with a few little blooms on there. And let's have a little look at these Tradescantia. We've got some various different ones here. Again, I've just done a big video on that, but that was literally a week ago, and they've put growth on already. I just have to keep remembering to cut them off and stick them back in again. That's beautiful, isn't it, that one? Look at the purple splash on there. So this is quadricolor. But you can see that not all leaves have quadricolor, have 4 colours. Again, I believe, if I remember correctly, that I read, now I think this is one of the growers that said this, that the variegation is actually in the stem and not in the leaves. And by that they meant that you could take a cutting of a completely green leaf and you'll still end up with all the variegations. So it doesn't really matter, you know, if somebody sends you a cutting, when your cutting arrives, don't worry that it might not be like this one. It will still eventually go like that one. Well, that's going really nice. Again, a bit leggy, but that's just the way these things go. Love this Tiana, gorgeous thing. Another nanouk over there. This is a nice one. That's a nice little thing there. And of course the Gibasis, really like that. If I can ever get close enough, you see that green tinge. I did put this on my community page, but it come out a little bit pixelated. But it is a beautiful thing when I can get that growing a little bit larger. Laelia anceps is going to bloom. That's been in bud for quite a long time. Orchids are doing okay. Again, you know, once the temperatures are okay, they really start to go for it after a while, because they like the high temperatures, don't they? They're tropical, aren't they? They're warmer growing. Zygopetalum, I did lose one of the growths on that in the springtime, but hopefully it's got a new growth there. Hopefully we'll get a spike on there. I'm not sure whether I didn't see one. Is that one down there? Or is that a root? There's something down there. There's something lurking. Can't look at it just yet. Great big Cattleya. I thought it was going to bloom. Oh, hang on. There you go. Is that something in the middle there? Yeah, I think it could be. Very reliable. The Brassia. Bialara. Doesn't look that well, that one. So yeah, let's have a look what else we've got to point out. Okay, so before I forget, if there is anything you'd like to see some content on, then please do put it in the comments. I'm always looking for ideas. To be honest, I'm not really short of ideas. I have got a lot, but it would be nice to do something that's not just my idea, that's actually somebody else's idea, because obviously I'm here to try and produce content for you. That's the whole idea. My goal is always to try and produce things that are, or videos or content that is not only useful and solves problems, but is slightly entertaining, or as entertaining as I can make it. You know, I'm not going to tell jokes, but I want to make it as entertaining as possible. I don't want to make it boring. Hence the videos I'm hoping are improving in quality. I've spent rather a lot of time learning like a brand new video editor. I've just gone on to Final Cut Pro from one of the free video editors. I've probably been a little bit too enthusiastic sometimes with the noises and whatnot, but I'm learning as I go. I'm not a professional videographer, I'm just doing this as a hobby. So if you think the videos are improving, please let me know, but be gentle. I spend many hours doing these things, and it's really nice to get some positive feedback. Not that I'm fishing for positive feedback, but you know, it is what it is. I would really, hopefully, like to think that things are improving and heading in the right direction. So if you have any ideas for videos, please do let me know in the comments down below. And I also love to hear about your experiences with the plants that you've got, because at the end of the day, it's all about growing plants for me, and that's what I enjoy. So if you'd like to see how my greenhouse looked when I first started, and you can compare it to what it is now, then have a look at the video that's on screen right now. But for now, I'll see you on the next one. Bye.